Okay, hi, two things. One, if the mic audio sounds bad, then yeah, I know. Second off, I didn't write an intro for, the video, so I'm just gonna do it unscripted, but what's going on, Nick Poo Troop? It's your boy. Today we're gonna be going over a DDLC Iceberg. Now, if you don't know what an iceberg is, pretty much it goes in tiers, so tier 1 is like clear skies. General knowledge that everybody should know about. But the more and more the tier list or little thing goes on, the more obscure the references and different things become. So, without further ado, grab your popcorn and your, I don't know, anime-branded soda, I guess. Hatsune Miku soda. And let's jump right into the madness, shall we? Also, I just want to let you know that the iceberg that I'm using is made by this person. I'll put their name on screen. So, thanks, random person. Clear skies. Just Monica. Just Monica is a phrase used by the character Monica to emphasize her desire to be the player's focus. And it's also the way to subtly guide the player towards her in the game. Case in point, this is just her trying to just, get her to notice her, and I'm gonna hate myself for saying this later, but notice me, senpai. That's basically what she's saying to the player. Not only is it just used as a phrase to also, not only spook the player, but to drive the narrative forward, but it's also the name of the best song on YouTube. Don't at me, it's art! Poems. Poems are the name of the game, with the whole minigame being dedicated into making a poem, and the characters having different styles of writing poems. Monica's is very much more self-aware than the other girls, while trying not to be self-aware. It's kind of like a weird balance between the two. Yuri's writing style is a lot more sophisticated and elegant in some ways, mainly using metaphors to explain her main message. Sayori mainly writes about her depression in different types of way, like how she bottles up happiness and gives it to others, or how she plucks little dandelions and having a field of them with none left. Natsuki's is a little bit more childish. I hate to say it, but it's a lot less sophisticated than how, say, Yuri would write, but that doesn't really particularly make it a bad thing. Her simplicity through her poems kind of let you get the theme, correctly. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't waste time, with a bunch of metaphors. She kind of, explains it in a good kind of manner. Hell, even in one of the poems that she gives you, it's not even a poem, it's literally just a message saying, yo, Yuri's acting weird, and Monica's being dismissive. You're the only one I can come to this with, and I don't know what's going on, man. I'm scared. Secret endings. Alright, now buckle down for this one. There are a few to go over. First off, we have the regular ending, where Sayori becomes sentient, Monica deletes her character file, and deletes everything else in the game, and that pretty much leads to Monica leaving you a note basically saying, this sucks, I'm out of here. Next, we have the good ending, which is received by achieving all of the cutscenes for each character, and at the end, Sayori becomes club president and doesn't try to hoard the protagonist to herself, pretty much. And instead of Monica writing you a note, it's Dan Salvato himself. Whoa! 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 Next is an ending that I like to call the cheat ending. Basically, when you go into the game and you delete Monica's character file before even starting it, Sayori tweaks the fuck out, herself, and then that's pretty much how the game ends. Literally, there is a speed run of this. It is the quickest ending possible. And the only ending with the 1 out of the 64th chance of appearing, I like to call the ghost menu. If you open and reopen the game a few times, then this should be able to happen to you. Pretty much the game opens with the end text, and then it pops up with the ghost menu. And if you click out, it zooms in on Monica's face. Very, very creepy. Whoa. Mon Ika. Also, while looking for translation, I found out that Natsuki is pronounced like that, Natsuki, instead of saying Natsuki. Hold on, here, I'll let you listen to it. Hold on.
Natsuki.
Yeah, exactly, Natsuki. I'm not crazy. I am not crazy, alright? Damn. In the game, Natsuki pretty much just says how excited she is to try the squid over at the festival, and then makes a passing comment about how Monika's name is related to it. Ika, in Japanese, translates to squid, roughly. Monika then states how that doesn't even work in translation, which I don't really know. I think that was just a pun, Monika. Chat, is she stupid? DDLC trailer. Pretty much the DDLC trailer is just exactly how it says. It's the trailer for the game. And I'm glad that he kind of disguised it at first. Like, this is just an average, everyday visual novel. Like, honestly, bro, that's kind of smart. This game is the living, breathing definition of don't judge a book by its cover, and I love it. Foreshadowing. Literally, the game opens up with, "This game is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed." Also, I'm reading a list off of TV tropes, so if something here is like a little inaccurate, then or just really out there, then sorry, I guess. Both instances of Doki are placed extremely close together, which merges the two O's together, turning them into an infinity symbol, which I don't really know, like, why they said this. I don't know, maybe that's just like a design, I don't know. The title has a standing pen which casts a notable shadow, which makes the pen take on a shape, I'll just say. And given what Yuri claims to have done with your drop pen late in the game, we can just, we could just assume that it was, like, foreshadowing there. Speaking of pen, Yuri states that her imagination has been hyperactive, so she decided to take it out on the pen that she stole from you. Then she realizes what she had said and stumbles in attempting to clarify. This could be taken to foreshadow what Yuri says she does to your pen later in the game. Probably during the funny confession scene, which I actually made like a storyboard of it. I wanted to make a cartoon of it one time, but I never got the chance, and also CapCut shut down, so thanks, CapCut. Team Salvato has the game soundtrack uploaded to their official YouTube account. Some songs, such as Sayonara and Just Monika, have characters removed from the image, hinting at their eventual removal within the game. There are plenty of fourth wall breakings from Monika in Act 1, and her comment about feeling that she and the player character are the only real people in the club, which the player is likely to dismiss as a cute little joke, it's actually the very cause of the game's conflict. Nobly, her comment about constantly saving and loading is a key hint in getting the golden ending. She also states that she had an epiphany, kind of like a urethra moment. But that epiphany was the realization that her world is a game, so womp womp. Also, Monika has just subtle design changes compared to the other club members, such as wearing red-tipped shoes as opposite to the blue-tipped ones, black grade B stockings as opposed to the shorter white ones, and also too having an odd name out of the four, where as in, Yuri, Natsuki, and Sayori all end in I, Monika ends in A. Okay, apparently I messed up on the last one with Monika. I guess she was aware about the pun in her name will be lost in translation, even though the game is Japanese in-universe, so sorry, I was a big stupid there, womp womp. Plus, too, if you look at the box art for DDLC Plus, you can tell that it is very much different from the first one, where her eyes are only for you. How lovely. I'm gonna be lonely for the rest of my life, let's go! If you choose to focus on one of the girls during your alone time with them in the third day, Monika will suddenly come out of nowhere and kill the mood. While it looks like she happens to be in the classroom in Sayori's road, she comically comes out of nowhere in Natsuki's. Concerning Yuri, both of you are in the middle of a romantic moment. Tension is at maximum, and the game passes from Yuri's picture to Monika's dialogue sprite. This particular moment shows that she can interrupt the game whenever she feels, but she also may be jealous of the other girls for having their own roots with the player, while she's condemned to remain a background character. Okay, I'm gonna speed run through these things. Sayori's poem, it pretty much talks about her depression. Yuri's poem, The Raccoon, pretty much, it dissects her love for cutting bread. I'll say that. She loves cutting bread. She's a baker. Monika's poems deal with themes of discovery and awareness, pretty much alluding towards her self-awareness that this is all a game. Natsuki's Amy Likes Spiders poem pretty much talks about her judging someone who she admires because, well, they like spiders. Spiders? Spiders! Fucking arachnid. Arachnid. wrong. Apparently, Monica noted that at one point, it would be bad for everybody if something unfortunate were to happen to Sayori, which, yay, it does! Wonderful! Yuri likes collecting knives, which, you know, this is pretty self-explanatory. For some reason, Monica has a weird habit of walking in while you're having a really romantic moment with the girls. Like, for example, you and Yuri were almost about to get freaky with it, and then Monica's right outside after you two are done. There's some barely noticeable first time around foreshadowing on the first and second days about characters discussing the horror genre, and Yuri's book seeming innocent at first, but then taking a surprisingly dark turn. Yuri likes words such as pleasure, lust, climax, desire, covet, breathe, anxiety, unstable, and suicide. Gee, I wonder why. Hang on, yapping so much got me thirsting. Hold on. Ah, yeah. Popped open a cold one with the boys. Oh, yeah. I'm drinking mucho mango from Arizona Tea. Shout out to my boys over at Arizona Tea. Please, send me a pack. Love ya. Monica mentioned something about cheating, possibly like, oh, you're looking up words that the girls would most likely enjoy. You must be like cheating. Haha, funny. I mean, it's probably the main protagonist is a dumbass, so he doesn't really know what Monica's talking about, but we as the players know. Yuri usually has a habit of keeping her arms behind her back, which, yeah, that's actually true. The majority of her PNGs have her arms behind her back. I'm about to get them arms behind her back. What? Following up with this, if you help Yuri out with the festival, she usually goes on about her knives, and if you cut yourself, pretty much she talks about how it cuts your skin like paper. Yuri, you want to tell us something, honey? Alright, so apparently back in the day, if you managed to come across Monica's real Twitter account before playing the game, you'd assume it's just a cute in-character blog to add some hype. However, the fact is that she has a Twitter account that is a sign that she has some awareness beyond the game. She even plugs it in Act 3. For bonus points, her few posts were actually on February 14th or Valentine's Day, or reminding me how much of a lonely bitch I am. There's a very conspicuous lack of any mentions of name dropping of real life authors and literary works for what supposedly is a literature club for well-read people. The observant player will notice that the only character who actually does this a couple of times is Monica. I'm gonna be real with you guys, a lot of these are just kind of like, so I'm just gonna skip to the ones that I actually feel like are worth talking about, so yeah, forgive me. Both Yuri's book and Natsuki's manga foreshadow the plot of the game. The portrait of Markov is pretty much, it goes as a nice story, but it takes a dark turn. Yeah, that's pretty on the nose now that I explain it, huh? Parfait Girls, Natsuki's manga, has 4 girls in animated poses on the cover, much like the game's title screen. She describes it as starting as a comedy with a chapter about the girls obsessing over a boy in an ice cream shop before turning into a dramatic later on. It delves into the characters' backstories. She also mentions a character named Minori, who is unlucky but is still likable, that apparently goes through something bad. This seems to reference the events of Act 1, the reveal of Sayori's depression, and her ultimate fate by the end of Act 1. During the club meeting, the game makes it a point of mentioning how there are 2 empty seats, one next to Sayori and one next to Monica. It appears to be setting up a choice, but the main character automatically sits next to Sayori. As it turns out, the game won't let you choose Monica. The portrait of Markov is a reference to, I'm so sorry, I'm going to pronounce this so wrong. Get ready for the worst German pronunciation ever. Das Portrait meines Doppelgängers by Georgy Markov. The book is allegedly about a poker game with the 3 main characters playing. The poker game turns out to be a framing device, with the actual story being about 3 of the players attempting to completely ruin their life of the last and about hidden deaths of baggage of the characters. This wording is really wrong. I'm so sorry. Or maybe it's because you can't pronounce words, numbnuts. Well, hey, I can pronounce words just as good as any other human being on this planet. You're just really mean. I thought I locked you in the basement. No, you didn't. I got out somehow, and I'm gonna be a recurring gag throughout your entire video, so get ready, boy. See you later. God damn it, I legit cannot stand my very real, evil clone of me. He's such a little dipshit. I hate him. Finally, the manual has a section about deleting save data and accessing files, including the line, in some cases, you may want to delete your save data to start the game completely over. This seems very normal, tentacle even, and not really plot related, but it foreshadows to the fact that after a certain point, you literally can't start the game again normally without doing so. And accessing and deleting individual files, character files specifically, is something Monica will eventually do to the other characters, and what you have to do to her. God damn, that section took a while. Finally, we're moving on. Dear Lord. Thank God. The modding community. Within all gaming communities, especially those in the indie horror community, modding is going to be a very common thing, and modding is a very present thing in DDLC, with multiple mods being made of the game. Things like A Brand New Day, the Just Monica After Story, and of course the best one out of them all, Doki Doki Do Your Lift Club. Wait, I just found a mod that is, this is the mod for me. It's called The Musical. It is just Monica in the format of the game. Oh my god, I need to search up gameplay of this. I need to know what this looks like. This is the best mod ever made for DDLC. I'm not even joking. This is amazing. This needs a remaster right now. I don't think you can fathom the amount of love I feel for this single song. This has to be the best piece that they've made to date. I'm not even kidding. The DDLC art book. Pretty much a whole art book is not only him just explaining to the reader how he created the girls, but also too showing off some pieces of concept art for the game. Okay, so I'm reading like the 4th page, and I might as well just like say it like how he just put it, because if I try to summarize it, it's not gonna really do it justice. Quote, I am not an artist, and that meant if I wanted to start making this game, I had to use some placeholder art. So I hopped online and used a free anime creator tool to Frankenstein these abominations to life. I'm not gonna lie, these little gremlins actually got me pretty far. I used them in development for the first couple chapters, as well as a lot of the poem response stuff. But since the game was actually beginning to shape up, I had to design these characters for real, and find myself an artist, unquote. Okay, so I did not know this, but apparently the art was made by someone else, not Dan. He made the first piece of concept art for the girls with the character creator online, but apparently he commissioned other artists to like help him out with like drawing the girls. Pretty much he just had connections. He had connections to people, so that's pretty much how the art was made. I'm so sorry that I dissed the other artists in my DDLC video. I'm so sorry, I did not know. Speaking of which, all the art in here is just pretty much just the concept art that I already kind of went over in my DDLC video. If you want to go check that out, then I'll leave it in the description, and I'll also leave this whole entire booklet in the description as well, so that you can pretty much just read his thoughts and pretty much, you know, his narrations on the different pieces of concept art, because this is really interesting. r/DDLC. It's pretty much how it states. This is just the official subreddit for DDLC, so if you want to go check it out for yourself, you can. There's a bunch of memes in there, different stuff in there, and yeah, it's pretty cool. At LittleMonX3. Pretty much from what I can gather, this is kind of like the official Twitter account that Monica had for a short while, but on Instagram. There are 2 different images here that don't really have much attached to them. There's the official title for Doki Doki Literature Club, and then there's art of the 4 girls, with Monica saying, "Ooh, I hope you spend the most time with me, T." Act 3 dialogue. Monica has a few things of dialogue in here, but I don't really feel like going through all of them, so I'm just gonna do the ones that I feel are the most relevant or the most interesting to talk about. First thing is that Monica mentioned Smash Bros, and if you didn't know, Dan Salvato actually made a mod for Super Smash Bros. Brawl. This is actually a really good way to start your career early with just modding games. It helps you code and all that, you know, so it's a good way to start it up. Her dialogue states, "Hey, have you ever heard of a game called Super Smash..." Wait, what? I was just spacing out and I just started talking for some reason. Was I programmed to talk about that? Because even I have no idea what that is. Sometimes I feel like I'm not in control, and it's kind of scary. But if you have some way to contact the people who created me, maybe they'll know why I started saying that. The second one is Monica reading her Steam name. This is all from the original game, so I don't think it's really going to be on DDLC Plus, unfortunately. But she does read your Steam name. This kind of caught my eye. She talks about Yuri's book. She says, "Hey, you know that book you were reading with Yuri? Portrait of whatever it's called?" It's funny because I'm pretty sure that book... Actually, I don't think I should be talking about this. Sorry. Just forgot I said anything. There's a "Okay everyone" dialogue with it just starting with "Okay everyone, it's time to..." I'm just kidding. I just used to really like saying that for some reason. I couldn't help but say it again. Come to think of it, didn't Natsuki and Yuri make fun of me for it once? Well, whatever. It's not like you ever made fun of me. You're too much of a sweetheart to do that, aren't you? Oh my god, I don't know. I just came across this. Apparently she mentioned something about rap, stating, quote, "You know what's a neat form of literature? Rap. I actually used to hate rap music. Maybe just because I would only hear the junk they play on the radio. But some of my friends got more into it, and it helped me kind of open my mind. Rap might even be more challenging than poetry in some ways, since you need to fit your lines to a rhythm, and there's much more emphasis on wordplay. When people can put all that together and still deliver a powerful message, it's really amazing. I kind of wish I had a rapper in the literature club. Sorry if it sounds silly, but it would actually be really interesting to see what they came up with. It would really be a learning experience." And finally, the one that I wanted to talk about the most was recording. Apparently, if you use OBS 32, OBS 64, OBS in general, Live Hi-Me, the fuck, Panda Tool, YY Mixer, Dual Tool, Homo Tool, XSplit.core, Monica will actually pick up on this. Hold on a second. You're recording this, aren't you? Hi everyone. Sorry I can't exactly read your comments from here. But do you mind telling your friend it's a little rude to start recording me without warning? I'm sure some people don't mind, but I get really self-conscious on camera. Oh gosh, feels like I'm being put on the spot now. Let's see, do you want to see a magic trick? I can't really do much except for a couple of things. Are you ready? The camera then zooms in and then pulls back in. I'm just kidding. I can't really do anything after all. If you gave me some time to prepare... Did I scare you? Oh, you're so cute. Anyway, player name. I didn't mean to get distracted. I'm sorry. Even though it's your fault for distracting me. Shame on you. I'm just kidding. Anything we do together is fun, as long as it's with you. And anyway, if it takes me some more time to collect my thoughts again, then I'm sorry. And that's all the dialogue I wanted to go over. Thank you for listening to my very bad girl voice. Let's continue, shall we? Tip of the iceberg. Project Libertina. Project Libertina is a fan-theorized DDLC sequel or expansion, not officially confirmed project by Team Salvato, and emerged from fan speculation based on Easter eggs and hints within DDLC and its expansion DDLC Plus. It was theorized that VM2 within DDLC Plus was Project Libertina, while VM1 was DDLC, a more controlled kind of immersion for the world. If you tamper around with series file and turn it into an OGG file, and then convert that to a QR code, you can scan it and go to projectlibertina.com. Basically, this talks about a little girl who was experimented on it in order to open her third eye, which pretty much makes people into bloodlusted killing machines. The last thing that this website says is, quote, Libertina has not yet recovered from the termination of XXXXXX, and is not expected to do so in the near future. Continuing to administer these tests will only accelerate the deterioration of Libertina's health. You are choosing to avoid the measures necessary to prevent a repeat scenario, Doctor. Will you not have as much faith in your personnel as you do in your god? End quote. So far, that's all the evidence that we know of that Project Libertina is an actual thing. So I'm just hoping that we get a little bit more in the future. So hopefully Dan Salvato can return back to Project Libertina and start working on that again. Or if he already is, then good. Reddit AMA. Pretty much, this was a post made by Dan Salvato, the man, the myth, the legend himself, pretty much saying, "Hello, my name is Dan Salvato, I created Doki Doki Literature Club, AMA." Pretty much just saying if you have any questions about the game and its development, please let me know in the comments below. Because I don't feel like reading entire paragraphs, I'm just going to leave the website down below in the description so that you can check it out. Keychain changes. Okay, so apparently this tier is kind of like, it's very minute, and honestly I didn't know that the keychains changed either, but apparently the design and structure of the official DDLC keychains has been slightly altered only once. I did not know that. All issues were only amplified. Pretty much in Act 3, Monica states that she tampered with the other girl's code to pretty much make their issues a little bit more amplified, so that they wouldn't confess their love to you, making Sayuri more depressed, and making Yuri more obsessive. And also too, Natsuki being a little bit more of a hothead in this. This leads to the girl's mental state pretty much driving them to insanity and to the point of killing themselves. But only two. We'll get to the third one later. DDLC Plus. The somewhat sequel, somewhat prequel to DDLC, with pretty much having a remaster of the game with a smaller font size, better performance, and overall just better porting on different consoles, and also too, different side stories. Special poems. There are about 11 special poems within Act 2. The player never gets to see them all in a single playthrough, and the ones that do appear are randomized. Most of them are creepy and contain some Easter eggs. Like, for example, the Nothing Is Real poem, the Today I Cut Myself Open for the First Time poem, and so on and so forth. Unofficial DDLC ports. There are a variety of unofficial and unendorsed ports of DDLC, including Android devices, the Nintendo 3DS, PSP, PS Vita, and many more. So instead of getting Doki Doki Literature Club, you're getting Heartbeat book meetings. Monica's jump scare. Pretty much I kind of already covered this in the Just Monica section. Pretty much she jump scares you if you're recording without her knowing of it. So You already know. You already know what it is. I'll put it up on screen now. Bye. 2018! One of the files hinted to Project Libertina's release was for 2018. This wasn't the case since Dan Salvato delayed the project because of DDLC's unexpected popularity. Monica plays the background music. Pretty much Monica says that she's taken piano lessons and plays piano during the credits too. And with the major instrument throughout the entire OST being the piano, it is likely that the entire background music is played by Monica herself. That gets evident in Act 2, where a note is occasionally missed as Monica gets more upset and impatient in Act 2. There are many videos on that topic, so I suggest you go check them out. Honestly, I kind of agree with this theory. It does make a lot of sense, so I'm glad that this is on the Iceberg, because I did not know that. Easter eggs in the files. There are a lot of Easter eggs in the files. There are so many long videos about them that show and explain everything better than I could. But, I mean, some of them explain Monica being self-aware. We already covered the character files, which I want to talk a little bit more in depth in the next tier. And of course, just different stuff I suggest you check out in videos, because the files are like a gold mine of Easter eggs and all that. Natsuki doesn't die. This is in fact very much true. Natsuki is the only one out of the 4 girls to not die. Yuri dies due to stab wound, Sayuri dies due to commit die, and Monica dies due to your hands, like deleting her character file. Natsuki's the only one that doesn't die. Yes, she snaps her neck in Act 2, I get that. But that doesn't count. That's just so that it could get a reaction out of the player. It's unexpected. But afterwards, she's completely fine. It's not like her character file's deleted after that, so she's all good. The Steam page. The Steam page pretty much contains the message written by Monica as the game description, just like on something like DDLC.mo. The Steam page also contains the psychological horror tag, which is giving away the surprise. And also too, this is displayed during the text history during Yuri's death. The anti-cheat. If you somehow try to cheat in this visual novel, Monica will interrupt the scene and tell you that you shouldn't cheat. If a save is loaded, which contains an anti-cheat value differing from the persistent value, the game will say, the save file couldn't be loaded, followed by, are you trying to cheat? Monica then will proceed to appear saying, you're so funny, player name. And if the player has not said a name, Monica will just simply say, you're so funny. The game will then perform an utter restart, forcing the player to play the game from Act 1. In Act 1, at the end of Chapter 6, when the main character walks into Sayori's room to find her dead, the persistent anti-cheat value is set to a random number between 100,000 and 9999998. This ensures that the player who keeps the save files outside of the game folder will be unable to load them into the game after restoring them. In Act 2, after the short glitch scene, which plays at the beginning, the persistent anti-cheat value is set to a new random number, and the save's anti-cheat value is updated to match it. This ensures that the player may only save and reload following the end of the scene. At the end of Act 2, the persistent anti-cheat value is set to a random number, ensuring that no externally saved files can be loaded when Act 3 begins. In Act 3, the final manipulation of the anti-cheat value occurs at the end of Act 3, once again ensuring that the player may not load a save to return to Act 3. However, the save-specific anti-cheat value is not updated, meaning that loading a save appears to be impossible in Act 4. Below the surface. I'm eating ramen. Well, I'll do a transition into this next segment. But, I think, this ramen brand is, Aunt Chunni's. It's really good. It's better than Cup of Noodles. Don't at me. Beta designs. Pretty much the beta designs were just the early designs of the girls and locations. Some of them are still even in the game files. Like, for example, this little, area that was never used in the original game, but then got later reused in DDLC+. The MC, or main character, is not a character. Dan Salvato himself stated that the main character, unlike the MCs in general visual novels, is merely just a vehicle for the player. Kind of like how Jeffrey was a vehicle or vessel for the actual creator of Class 09. PM died for this. When starting up the game in Act 2, the screen telling the player is not suitable for children, or those who are easily disturbed, sometimes changes to different text. One of those being, PM died for this. This is a reference to the Super Smash Bros. Brawl mod, Project M, of Dan Salvato. Pretty much he worked on this before he worked on DDLC, so he stopped development for Project M to pretty much work on DDLC, so please be grateful. Monika's Portrait of Markov dialogue. I already stated this in the Just Monika dialogue section, but pretty much she just states about how you and Yuri were reading that book, and she goes on a little tangent about it before stopping herself and, pretty much saying, I should be talking about this, whoopsie. Unused content. Additionally to the beta designs, there is some unused dialogue and images found in the files of DDLC. Some notable things are Yuri's expressions and Natsuki's only unused expression. Yuri has a sort of yandere face where she looks like she's angry at the player, and then she has a face where it looks, like she's doing something fun. I don't want to disclose what she's doing. Natsuki's appears to be her looking off to the side, kind of like a, you sussy baka. I'll link everything down into the description below to the cutting room floor. They have a lot of cool stuff there, and they go really in depth with the changes and unused content. Monika's poems. Monika writes several poems throughout the game, which most of them refer to her epiphany. They could all be interpreted individually and are pretty freeform for the most part. Screaming in the Void. Monika says in Act 3 that whenever the game closes, she gets sent into a void that is slowly filled with loud, nonsensical screaming noises and flashing lights. That's a reference to how, when an application is closed, its memory gets used to run other programs. Monika is essentially experiencing herself being torn apart to be used to play your other PC programs. Now, it really does make you think twice about opening up your copy of Elden Ring on Steam, now does it? I don't think you care either way, so let's move on. Monika's chibi in Act 2. In Act 2, Monika chibi sometimes reacts to a word you select in a poem. This is entirely random. It hints at the fact that, in lore, the game might have had remains of Monika wrote in the game, but the chibi can otherwise be only seen in Act 3 and in the credits. Sounds of tearing flesh. On rare occasions in Act 2, your screen might get a bright red filter, while the sound of tearing flesh can be heard. It all goes back to normal after about 2 minutes. Honestly, I think I've seen some YouTubers experience this, and they have the same exact reaction that I had looking at it the first time around. What the fuck is this, and why is this happening? BBB suicides. Now, I did not know this, so get ready. The BBC broadcasted fake news about DDLC causing children to kill themselves. The game was described isn't even close to DDLC and sounds more like some sort of unrelated creepypasta, such as Lavender Town. Now, honestly, if this was true, I honestly would have just stopped playing DDLC just right then and there because I wouldn't want Monica making me kill myself. Retrieving Monica in Act 4. In Act 4, if you try to put back Monica's file into the game, she will tell you not to toy with her, and then delete herself again. This is honestly kind of sad, I'm gonna be honest with you, fam. Monica's Twitter account is canon, and yes, Monica did mention in Act 3 that she did have a Twitter account. She literally just self-promoted herself. That's crazy. Sayori in Act 2. There are multiple occasions where scares referring to Sayori happen, even though she has been deleted at that point. So maybe Sayori isn't entirely erased from existence, and her existence still bleeds into Act 2. Some notable occurrences of this happening are the Happy Thoughts file flashing on screen, and also 2, the calendar being replaced with the image of Sayori doing the funny thing. Ghost menu. Now, I already kind of explained this back in the secret endings, but just a quick recap. It's a 1 out of 64 chance of happening. It opens up the game with a weird, scary menu, and then once you close out of the game, it pretty much zooms in on Monica's face. There, I said it. You happy? What did Yuri say or do to Natsuki? In Act 2, there's a situation in which they start to have a heated argument. Monica goes out of the club room with the MC, and followed by Natsuki crying. Yuri is later described to be sitting at a desk saying to herself that she didn't mean to, over and over. So what did she do? Now, there are some pretty mixed things about this on what it could be, but I think I agree with Agent John 20 the most on Reddit. He states that, quote, possibly something about her home life. Whatever it was, it must have been nasty. Which I agree with. That sounds like the most plausible explanation on why Yuri said that. Randomized glitches. The glitches in the game are randomized to have different values of probability of appearing. Like, for instance, there's a 1 out of 3 chance for the player's cursor to turn into a glitched sprite of Sayori. Monica's Super Smash Bros. Dialogue. Pretty much I already went over this, but she starts talking about Super Smash Bros. In a nod towards Dan Salvato's previous work, Project M. Comment on anime culture. The girls in Act 1 are based off anime tropes and visual novel tropes. Dan said that the comment on anime cultures is there, but it's definitely not the focus. You can even see this in the art book, with him pretty much texting towards his friend about the character archetypes for the girls. Monica likes vor. Oh no. Okay. It's not as bad as it sounds, trust me, alright? It's not that kind of game, trust me. Let me just redo the dialogue that she says. This is pretty random, but I always thought spicy food was kind of funny. Like, didn't plants evolve to be spicy to prevent them from being eaten? I read somewhere that humans are the only species that actually enjoys spicy things. It's almost like we're making fun of the plants, using the defense mechanism to literally make our food more enjoyable. Like, imagine a monster that devours you whole because it enjoys the sensation of you struggling for your life while being digested. Sorry, that was kind of a weird analogy, I guess. It just kind of came into my head. I'm not a monster or anything, but you're so cute I could just eat you up. I'm joking. Gosh, I'm amusing myself a little too much, aren't I? Sorry for being weird. With the way that this is worded, possibly hinting that she has a vor fetish, I want to kill myself after just reading all that. I'm so sorry. Monica cuts herself. One of the special poems is actually a diary entry about the writer cutting themselves for the first time, and how redacted feels. In the quote, you can see that the redacted is actually Yuri, so the most likely option is Monica is the writer of that diary entry. The poem states, quote, "Today I cut my skin open for the first time. It was exhilarating. I think I understand how Yuri feels now. I'm supposed to be the responsible one, though, so I don't think I'll be doing it again. Unless I decide to kill myself. I left a memento of the occasion below." K-On! Inspiration. Some of the girls' traits are based on characters from the anime K-On!, especially Sayori and Yuri. Reading the overview from Google, K-On! Is a Japanese animated series and manga follows the lives of 5 high school girls who formed a band through their school's light music club. The story centers on their growth, friendships, and musical aspirations as they navigate high school together. The band members include Yui, the lead guitarist, which might sound familiar to you, Mio, the bass, Ritsu, the drums, Sugmugi, keyboards, and Azusa, rhythm guitar. I'm sorry, I mispronounced those names. I'll try better next time. Please don't lock me in the basement. But the deaths were accidents. Monica states in Act 4 that she didn't mean to drive everyone to suicide. It just kind of turned on their negative traits up to the 11 so that they wouldn't spend time with you, but backfired so that they, unalive themselves. I'm not gonna be censoring it again. I don't feel like it. And Monica basically just rolled with it. Hidden creepypasta. In Yuri's character file, you'll find a creepypasta that Dan Salvato wrote years ago. Well, not really. First off, you need to open her character file in Notepad. Then you need to copy and paste the base 64 that was left there, and then translate it. Then you'll get the creepypasta. Yuri's Act 2 poems. The poems Yuri wrote in Act 2, all of them, might be nonsensical, but it's speculated that they actually have meaning behind them. Like, for instance, in the last poem that she gives you, which is just garbled up nonsense, until the end of the poem, which reads, quote, "Fresh blood seeps through the line parting her skin, and slowly colors her breast red. I begin to hyperventilate as my compulsion grows. The images won't go away. Images of me driving the knife into her flesh continuously, fucking her body with the blade, making a mess of her. My mind starts going crazy as my thoughts start to return. Shooting pain assaults my mind along with my thoughts. This is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. How could I ever let myself think these things? But it's unmistakable. The lust continues to linger through my veins. An ache in my muscles stems from the unreleased tension experienced by my entire body. Her third eye draws me closer." Honestly, this might have to be one of my favorite poems from her. Yes, a lot of it is just garbled up nonsense, but it's a way to experience her psyche during this exact moment. The fact that she is losing her mind slowly as she is no longer the same Yuri we knew in Act 1. The shy, timid bookworm that we all knew and loved is now gone, and this yandere type of character is the only thing that remains. Time to be a fucking hero. This is a quote from the text that you get when decoding Monica's CHR file. This text also teased Project Libertina. I pretty much explained this in my DDLC explained video, but I'll say that she pretty much just writes that you know me for a while and I'm sorry for what I've done, but that's all behind us because I've been experiencing some sort of deja vu, and that is the third eye. Monica is bi/pan. Pretty much in Act 3, when she states that she loves you, the player, she doesn't mind your gender. She states that she doesn't even know if you're a boy or a girl, and that it doesn't really matter now. All the dokis are just as real as Monica. Now, I personally don't agree with this too much, but there is some pretty heavy evidence to back it up. Like, for instance, Sayori getting Monica's powers at the end of Act 4 when becoming the president, Natsuki noticing things are off, and Yuri trying to fight against her Act 2 self, all hint to the girls having just as much feelings and thoughts as Monica. They're not self-aware like she is, but they do have a lot of emotions and feelings just like her. The posters are all connected. Apparently, the quote-unquote nightmare posters of the girls, or these four, are all connected in some sort of way. Here you go. Now, you might think that Monica is the one that's supposed to be connecting all the girls together, but no, in fact, it is Yuri from her heart, this flower, this weird thing coming out of her chest. It's engulfing the other girls in these red ribbons, and even Game Theory, stated this in a previous lore episode of DDLC way back when in the day. This one right here. What is outside of the space classroom? In Act 3, you could see red glowing clouds in the starry sky outside the space classroom. There are multiple assumptions by different people about what these are, and I have a little assumption of what it is. Perhaps it is just the game's broken code just lying outside, because Monica didn't feel like dealing with all that. And finally, the character files, which these are not actual files, the extension is just kind of like set there, but if you tamper with the files, you can actually make them into files, like image files and OGG files for Sayuri. Now with below the surface being done, let's move on to bottom of the iceberg. Monica has casual clothes. Now, even though Monica does not have casual clothes within the game itself, she actually does have casual clothes in this piece of artwork. This is the only time where we actually get to see her in actual clothing outside of having a school uniform. Sayuri's death was planned since the start of development. This is in fact true, with the text being sent to one of Dan Savato's friends, saying, quote, "Well, I can make the childhood friend the crazy one, but I was thinking about having the typical smart, athletic, pretty popular girl be the crazy one," either referencing probably Monica or Yuri. This was very, very early in development. I also want to kill the childhood friend. Killing the "I just want everyone to be happy" girl is the most disturbing, especially if she commits suicide. Yuri is libertina. This is a very popular theory within the community, pretty much thinking that Yuri is in fact libertina that is being mentioned within all of these different Easter eggs and references within the files. In the document on projectlibertina.com, it states, quote, "The following occasional behaviors have been noted and should be ignored in future examinations. Those symptoms being twitching, vocal tics, biting, euphoria, vomiting, screaming, harm to examiner, harm to self, misplaced laughter. Any self-harm attempts must be interrupted immediately." Yuri experiences some, if not all of these symptoms within the second act. Basing on the dates between 2017 and 2021, the release of the original and the remaster, her age would be around 16 to 20 if she was born in 2001, which makes a lot of sense. Her height and weight are very average for a girl her age. The Portrait of Markov. I already covered the Portrait of Markov in previous sections, but I'll go over it again. Basically, it's a fictional horror novel in the world of DDLC that seems to have some mysteries tied to it. In Act 1, Yuri introduces the protagonist of the book. When she asks about the plot of the book, she responds, basically it's about this girl in high school who moves in with her long-lost sister. But as soon as she does so, her life gets really strange. She gets targeted by these people who escaped from a human experiment prison, and while her life is in danger, she needs to desperately choose who to trust. No matter what she does, she ends up destroying most relationships, and her life starts to fall apart. In Act 2, Yuri talks more in depth about the book, saying, basically it's about this religious camp that was turned into a human experiment prison, and the people trapped there have this trait that turns them into killing machines that lust for blood. But the facility gets even worse, and they start selectively breeding people by cutting off their limbs and affixing them to... Oh, that might be a little bit of a spoiler. Many people, including myself, have speculated that this book could be connected to Dan Salvato's next game, Project Libertina. This is most likely due to the fact that the Portrait of Markov's lore involves human experiments and a religious camp, similar to the context of Project Libertina's website. Who giggled? When closing the Can You Hear Me special poem, you can hear a giggle noise. It is still debated who of the girls' giggle it is. It could be Monica, it could be Yuri, it could even be the ghost of Sayuri, maybe. But, personally I believe that it might be Monica, because later on in the game, during the credits, we can actually hear a voice. So maybe that poem was a little bit of a test to see if the player can actually hear her. Yuri mentioned Stephen King in early builds. In the earlier builds of DDLC, Yuri says that she likes Stephen King novels instead of horror novels, which is a very much broader term. If that name doesn't sound familiar to you, it should, because Stephen King wrote It, The Shining, and The Green Mile. Hidden Pen PY features. When programming DDLC, Dan Salvato used features of the Pen PY engine that previously have been undocumented. He had to venture through the source code of the engine to even find those features. Fuck, I messed up. It's Ren PY, not Pen PY. Look, rehab was supposed to be a fresh start for me, I'm sorry. According to the official website, they state, quote, Ren PY is a visual novel engine used by thousands of creators from around the world that helps you use words, images, and sounds to tell interactive stories that run on computers and mobile devices. These can be both visual novels of life simulation games, The easy-to-learn script language allows anyone to efficiently write large visual novels, whereas Python scripting is enough for complex simulation games. Why Monica would love you in real life. Dan Svada said on his Reddit AMA that Monica will love you as long as you at least have a glimmer of self-love. The one piece of Act 3 dialogue that I can find that is kind of like what I just stated is Bad Day, where Monica goes, "Hey, are you having a bad day or anything like that? Sometimes I get frustrated that a normal day could be ruined even by really small things. Like if you accidentally say something in a conversation that someone doesn't like, or if you start thinking about how awful of a person you used to be 5 years ago, or if you feel worthless for putting off important work and failing to get simple tasks done, or when you think about all the different people who probably hate you or think you're off-putting. I understand those days. Just remember that the sun will always shine again tomorrow. Those kinds of feelings are easy to forget and ignore as they are to remember. And besides, I don't care how many people might hate you or find you off-putting. I think you're wonderful, and I will always love you. I hope, if nothing else, that knowing that helps you feel just a tiny bit better about yourself. If you're having a bad day, you can always come to me, and I'll talk to you for as long as you need." Monica's eyes represent envy. It is said that envy, or jealousy, is a green-eyed monster. So knowing that most of Monica's designs are intentional, it could be that Monica's emerald green eyes are a reference to the green-eyed monster that is envy. I honestly don't really believe this too much, but then again, I also do agree with this. I'm not too sure. Leave down in the comments what you think, please. Monica isn't the only one with a voice. You can hear Yuri's breath on multiple occasions during Act 2. And then there's a question of who giggled. It was Monica. It was Monica. Stop like trying to convince yourself it was like Yuri or anybody else. It was Monica. WarioWare touched. Wario's gonna touch you. In Act 2, one of the texts that replaced this game is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. The text goes, "I have granted kids to hell," which is a reference to an Easter egg in WarioWare Touched when playing Ashley's song really fast and reversed. Additionally, there are multiple samples from WarioWare Touched used in DDLC, most notably the ba sound you hear in one of the special poems. The third eye. During the game, in the files, and in the posters, there are references towards a third eye in relation to Yuri. Monica's Deja Vu, the Portrait of Markov, the Project Libertina website. The third eye is a very common theme sprinkled throughout the entirety of the game. Hell, in one of the poems that Natsuki gives you that's base 64, it's literally labeled, "Open your third eye." ARG. It could be that all the Easter eggs and Libertina references and Secrets to the Third Eye things are part of an ARG that's possibly been abandoned since. ARGs like Mario, Green Mountain, and it used to be this one, were all kind of internet-based things where you had to go through different types of MacGuffin quests to get lore info. Yuri held the wrong knife. Due to miscommunications with the artist, Yuri stabbed something with a regular kitchen knife instead of the intended fancy one, aka her personal little pocket knife that cut you in the first act. This has been confirmed in Dan Salvato within some questions. The description of the pocket knife reads, quote, "The knife is strangely beautiful. The silver handle has an intricate pattern of waves etched into it. The blade itself is gently tinted blue." Honestly, honest to God, I wish I had a knife like this. Not for the same reason, I wish I just had it because it sounds really cool. I don't know why. And finally, Portal inspiration. Apparently, the Portal games inspired Dan Salvato to put a song during the credits of DDLC. That song was Your Reality. The song being referenced here is still alive from the Portal game. The Depths. Animal Crossing Wild World inspiration. Dan Salvato said in an interview that he was inspired by multiple games to put a major leitmotif into DDLC. His go-to example is Animal Crossing Wild World for the Nintendo DS. Now, if you're thinking what the fuck is a leitmotif, it is a recurrent theme throughout a musical or literary composition associated with a particular person, idea, or situation. Now, when briefly listening to Animal Crossing Wild World's music, I could tell that a lot of the openings are somewhat the same, with the same kind of note precision. And also, too, the instruments sound very natural, like something you would see in, what the fuck, a Wild World. Which ending is canon? Alright, now we're getting to the point where a gun is being held at my head. DDLC has multiple endings, like we covered earlier, but it never was confirmed what ending was canon. In fact, it's even said that all of them might be canon. Now, if you want my personal opinion, I believe that the regular ending might as well be the canon ending. You don't get the girl, you don't get a happy ending with Monica, she deletes the game, it's done. That is what I believe is to be the true canon ending to the game, especially with how it ends, and also to Monica's letter to you through her character file. Monica and Ravel Puzzlewell connection. Now, what the fuck is a Ravel Puzzlewell? Motherfucker sound like Rapunzel, let down your motherfucking hair. In the game Planetscape Tournament, there is a character named Ravel, and she is a person that allegedly has an incarnation in almost every universe. Due to similarities in the characters and behaviors, it could be that Monica is yet another incarnation of Ravel. Now, me, and also to the source that I'm using to pretty much, base my research on, they don't really know too much about this game, and neither do I. Apparently, a friend of theirs suggested they put it in the Iceberg, so they did. Yeah, I don't really know much about the game. Please, someone let me know what it's about. I legit do not know what this game's about. Monica owns a PS3. Now, if you've been in the DDLC community for a hot minute, you'll know that you've already seen this image before. Like, we've all seen this image if you've been into DLC since the game released. Now, look around that green pillow right there. Right around the upper left-hand corner. You will see a PS3 controller laying right there. This pretty much proves the point that Monica does indeed own a PS3. This is pretty obscure knowledge, and I think it's pretty damn cool. Real life inspiration. Dan Salvato, the man, the myth, the legend himself, stated that minor traits of the Dokis, as well as parts of the portrayal of depression, are slightly based on people he knows in real life. And also too, from what I heard, himself. Dan Salvato, if you're listening to this, which I'd be honestly surprised as hell if you are, I love you, man. You're my goat. You are my personal goat. I swear to God. And finally, the final thing on this iceberg. I think I saved the best for last. Natsuri is canon. Yes, I did not stutter. Dan Salvato said at some convention once that Natsuki and Yuri sometimes like to spend time after school together. Now, if this just ended here, it wouldn't be on the iceberg. But then he jokingly follows it up by saying that they may or may not have kissed. There is a video of him saying it, floating around on YouTube, but no one can find it, not even myself. And I don't feel like sitting through hours of conventions just to find one clip of just trying to prove if Natsuki and Yuri had say gex. And with that comes to the end of the tier list. This is gonna be a bitch to edit, I know it. But if you sticked around to the end, which I'm surprised if you did, thank you, a million times thank you for just sticking around to hear me yap about a funny little psychological horror game. Honestly, man, this has been a lot to record. I'm very tired, and I want to make sure this video is out on time, so thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, like, comment, share, and subscribe if you love content like this. I want to make a psychological horror series based on all this. Well, I'm not too sure. I do have a plan for it though, so please stay tuned. In the meantime, I don't know, man. Just be you. Be happy. Just, you know, I don't know, kiss your mom on the cheek, you know? Give your daddy a hug or something. If not, then, I don't know, give your dog a hug or something. Or if you don't, give your Monica life-size body pillow a hug or something. I don't know. But just hug something, I guess. Yeah, that's about it here for me. Subscribe and bazinga, as always.
Both my ass cheeks clapping. When I walk there, clapping. Both my ass cheeks clapping. Both.
Go ahead, Mom. Take away my Nintendo Switch. No matter how hard you try, you can't unfuck the Thanksgiving turkey.